Hi, my name is Sid. I'm an education consultant at Interlace Studies. I would like to welcome you in our Q&A session with Timothy Cook. He is a registered migration agent and he has 9 years of experience working in immigration department. So Interlace Studies will conduct this kind of session every week. We will be answering few immigration related questions which are relevant for that particular time. And so today we are talking about this newly regional visa that are coming in November 16. So we get a lot of questions about what is going to happen and what are these visa and what are the criterias that will be in those visa that are coming. And so we are going to ask Tim to talk about like what are the these new coming visas, and then what can we expect, what do we know at the moment, and what we don't know at the moment. So I would like to pass you the question and introduce yourself, and then explain what are these new visas, regional visas coming, and then make clear to our students and to our clients.
Sounds good. Well, firstly, thank you for the introduction, Sid. Appreciate it. My name is Timothy Cook. I'm a registered migration agent. I run my own firm, Ahana Migration, but I'm in partnership with Sid at the moment to develop the interlace studies model so that we can jointly assist each other with both education and visa-related queries to give you guys the full one-stop shop for all your migration needs. So that's the general plan of these sessions. Something I found a lot is that we do get the questions of how can I get to PR quickly, what's my best option, what should I study, how should I work, all those sort of things. And to save answering 1,000 different emails between me and Sid, well, do something that you're passionate about. We thought we'd just run some of these video sessions to give you some more information. So firstly, what's happening in November? Truth is, no one truly knows at this stage, only because the regulations and legislation aren't out yet in black and white to say this is what's going to happen. There's lots of chatter and personal development classes and stuff from the department to say these are the guidelines, such as 3 years regional work requirement. Some of the visas might be for 5 years in length. And then there's also talk in the news that people that go regional will have to prove that to get PR moving forward. I don't like to give advice that's not in regulation or policy or the legislation, because things always change from what is speculated to what is released. An example of that is the recent parent visas for the 870s. Everyone got really excited because they thought, oh, we're finally getting this after 2 years. We can sponsor our parents out for long periods of time without having to do the 6 months back in their home country before getting the next lot of visas. However, when the legislation finally came out, it said that the annual income of the sponsoring child had to be $83,000 a year, which is a lot of money, and so that cut a lot of people out of it. And if people had been advised beforehand, oh, you can bring your parents out in July next year, they would have been severely disappointed. So until it's written in black and white, I don't like providing advice or information on what's happening. That being said though, as soon as we do know the exact criteria, the exact legislation, more than happy to run another one of these sessions to say this is what's happening. What I can tell you for fact though is that the 489 visas are no longer being sent out for invites. The last round for invitations went out in September 10th, which is last month. So those people have till the end of October roughly to accept the invite, after which stage no more 489s will be available. So that's what we can tell you. Next one I get a lot of is, can I bring my partner out? Well, technically yes, but what we have seen from some what we call higher risk countries is we've seen a lot of subsequent entrant student visas being refused. So my advice would be, even though it may not be culturally appropriate or it may not be the best situation for you, is always include your spouse at the beginning of the student visa process as best you can, because then that'll save the disappointment and heartache later on.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with applying for a subsequent entrant visa. However, they take about a year to be processed from what I've been experiencing. And if the department say no, then you've wasted all that time.
Yep.
And it's some of the decisions have been very unfair. nothing we can do about it once the decision's made. You've either just got to try again or try another pathway. But my advice would be start from the beginning, because at least then you're assessed together instead of one person, second person. People often talk about Australian citizen partners, permanent resident partners, that sort of thing. General rule of thumb, and again, this is just general information. If you're tuned out by now, fair enough. But you either have to be living together for 12 months or married to be eligible for any spouse partner runs. And then people talk about GSM, what are my options? Apart from the November changes coming up, which we don't really know about, general rule of thumb, you need 3 years work experience at level to be eligible for any of the PR skilled migration visas. Skilled migration isn't a bad way to go about getting a visa if you can get the points and experience up, because about 60 odd thousand of the 160,000 visas that are granted each year are permanent resident GSM visas. So it's a pretty good program to be part of if you can. If you don't quite have the work experience, but you have someone that's willing to sponsor you, your next best option is the 482, because that only needs 2 years work experience of a closely related occupation. So that means you could be an electrician's assistant and then get sponsored as an electrician. You could be an assistant chef, be sponsored as a chef, that sort of thing. So you don't need to be actually doing the job at level to be eligible for the 482. Now that's just general advice, that's not specific for every occupation, but the way it's worded is closely related occupation and 2 years experience, as opposed to 3 years experience at level.
So I mean, we have just talked about this regional visa. There's 2 visas coming, and we don't exactly know at the moment what are exact criteria that will be. And this is just the first session. So what we really would like to request our viewers, if you have any specific questions, then please type your questions, and then we will be making video answering those specific questions in coming weeks and months. So our purpose of this interlace studies and our this migration agent service is to provide you exact information from Australian migration law and regulation and policy. So we work really hard to do complete research about any issue regarding any visa and any migration issue in Australia. So team has worked almost 9 years in immigration department, and he has personally dealt with so many visas and so many issues. So he has great deal of knowledge about department. I mean, it's not that he can do anything, but he knows the migration law very well. That's it. So of course we are not saying that he can do. I mean, he can somehow pursue a department.
I can't magically make a visa appear. And in saying that's a good segue actually, because the department, you're dealing with people, and people make bad decisions sometimes. And if it affects you, we apologise, but sometimes someone's having a bad day or whatever, you're gonna get a negative decision. And so that's why we always say if you can do it on shore, that's better, because you get your review rights and someone else will look at it. But then that just ties back to some of these subsequent entrance student visas we've seen coming to us. Not that we've done the actual visas, but the decision has really impacted someone that is here already, and we just have to work through that as best we can. So the department will get it wrong from time to time, but if you use us, then we can guarantee that we'll give the hardest possible work we can for you, and the outcome is in the hands of the department.
Exactly. And our commitment is we do the deep research, and we do everything that are told to be done for us. For example, we make sure we follow each and every point of the regulations. We go through all the policy documents, because this migration law is really complex, and it's a huge document, and there are so many policies and so many exceptions. So we make sure we go through all, and honestly we would like to really help these students and other migrants to get the best information, real information, accurate information. And we love to work on, like, very challenging issue, of course.
Absolutely.
I mean, we love to, work on the hard problems and,
Yes.
the issues that you are facing.
6 years of my time was spent in cancellations, removals, and detentions. So if you think you're going one step too far,
Yeah.
contact us. Maybe you haven't quite gone as over the edge yet. So yeah,
Exactly.
hard topics are what we love to
Exactly.
tackle. So
Yep.
bring them to us by all means.
Sure. Thank you so much. So we will be publishing this kind of Q&A video probably every week. And please write down your questions if you have any specific questions, and we will include the answer of those questions in coming videos.
All right, thank you for your time today, everybody.
Thank you.